Hello everyone! Welcome to another 2v2 battle. This is with me and Surreal playing as the dwarves, and we are facing off against two greenskin players. Let me actually pause it here for just a moment because some stuff, well, actually we can let that go. My gyrocopter's fighting some people in the forest over there. So my army here is going to be a front line of dwarven warriors backed up by two normal miners with blasting charges, and then the renowned miners, the Ekrund miners over here. We have a group of longbeards backed up by a Thane, the Rune Lord, of course, Thorgrim. I brought a flame cannon, the Dragonback Slayers, which are the ones that give flame resistance or weakness to flame. And then the, what are they called? Warriors of Dragonfire Pass, so that's like a little combination with all the fire damage. We also have the Peak Gate Guard back here, and then the Grumbling Guard of Longbeards, which I think is just so good. I think these things are so good, the vigor that they give, so I'm probably going to be bringing them in most of my Dwarven games. Another group of Longbeards here with great weapons, and another group of normal Longbeards. One Ranger over here, and then of course Gyrocopter all the way over here that was right on the edge of our deployment. And again, they found a lot of sneaky units. But Surreal's force here, we have 3 Bolt Throwers, 3 Iron Breakers, one of which is the Renowned unit. We have 4 Rangers, a group of Slayers, 3 Dwarf Warriors, the Renowned Skyhammer Gyrocopter, a normal, or sorry, Gyro Bomber, and then a normal Gyro Bomber. My Goblobber over here I put with Surreal's force, and Warriors Dragonfire Pass right here. I think that's it. Also, he's being led by Belagar, and then a King Lund Iron Hammer, which is just really good unit. So we have uncovered the Renowned Goblin Wolf Rider Archers, another Wolf Rider Archer that's been fully upgraded, it looks like. Or near fully upgraded. Then we also have Durkix Squigs, which are the Renowned Squig Hoppers, again with two other Squig Hoppers. Over here we have the main force of this player being 4 Black Orcs, 1 Crimson Killer, that's a lot of Black Orcs, 2 Night Goblin Archers, and then the Durusty Eras being led by Skarsnik. We have a Hammer of Gork over here, the Orc Boar Boys that are the Renowned unit with Encourage, and then the Arachnarok Queen. And then for the other greenskin player, we have 3 Doomdiver Catapults, an Arachnarok Queen, normal Arachnarok, Shaman, they're being led by Grimgore Ironhide, there's also Goblin Big Boss mounted on the Spider, a line of Night Goblin Warriors, normal Goblins, and then they have in Vanguard deploy, way over here, the Moon Howlers, the Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, a Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archer, and then the Night Goblins that are unbreakable. That has a lot of stuff, so let's press play. So I've already used one of our bombs here on this group of Wolf Rider Archers, and you see Surreal is engaged them with their Gyro Bombers and then these Slayers. We wanted to try and route these off the field immediately, so that's what we're doing over here. Trying to, anyway. So these Slayers get, well, I should say these Wolf Riders actually get into the Slayers, so they're going to get caught right there. Meanwhile, the bolt throwers are going off on these Squig Hoppers that are retreating back to the main force. So we do break this Renowned unit's morale, but they are going to be back. Because they do not route off the field right here. They instead are routing away from the enemy, which is us, and they are going this way. We needed them to go that way. So they will be back. The other greenskin player is moving up. They are also moving their Vanguard force, which I caught, luckily. I saw them moving into this forest. That's why I'm pulling my Rangers out of this area. I'm going to be pulling them back over there. And I was telling Surreal about the forest behind us. He is, I think, going to move up his force a little bit. And now he's withdrawing the ones that went to the forest. I am pulling back my Gyrocopter because I was micromanaging other things. Looking at the other Vanguard force that was coming at us. Yeah, we're getting out of there. That's a lot of Black Orcs. We are... Whoa, what is back here? Oh, it's the Orc Shaman, who's being left behind as the rest of the army moves forward. So when I saw the Arachnarok Spiders, I realized at that moment that I didn't really have a good response to them. And so I was kind of afraid. I only have one Coroller group, and that is a Ranger, not an Armor Piercer, just normal damage. Here comes that Vanguard force. So I'm a little worried. Just a little. A flame cannon's not really going to break down an Arachnarok Spider. So all I really have to rely on are all of my Armor Piercers, which are the Miners and the Longbeards over here. You can see these 3 Doomdiver Catapults getting into position to try and snipe out my flame cannon. I brought the flame cannon because fighting against a lot of goblins and squigs usually means you can get a lot of kills with it. Plus, it just never sees any action, so I like to bring it when I think it could be a good situation. You can see here the other Vanguard force here with the Moon Howlers are going around my army, and they're going to be going up behind Surreal. They're trying, I think, to get to my Goblobber, which is why I'm moving it up, and I'm telling Cyril, hey dude, we have people behind us, and they're coming for my Goblobber. Trying to get my Corlers in position to take some shots, and they are. As we're getting hounded by these Doomtower catapults, which my gyrocopter is currently shooting at to try and rout them off. And you can see they're not really doing too much against my flame cannon, but unlucky for me, they then switch the targets because the enemy realizes that they're not doing anything against flame cannon. These three are going to be hitting my Goblobber. And you can see Cyril here is now reacting with his Corler forces, his Rangers. So I'm like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. I think I'm actually going to drop the siege equipment and try and run them out of this situation at this point. I think. There we go. I just dropped it. I'm like, let's get out, get out. So I dropped them trying to run. You can see they're taking a lot of fire from these Rangers, but it is in the forest, so some of the trees are blocking the shots. Meanwhile, the remaining army is still pressing on us. My Longbeards over here were getting destroyed because they were in a very dense formation, so the Doom Towers were doing really good against them, but I was micromanaging other things, so I didn't even really notice that. Also, my playstyle, or my play view was like kind of like this, so the trees obscure a lot of stuff. I hate fighting around trees. I really do. I really do. But there are a lot of trees in this map, and I'm like, at least they give good cover against Doomtower catapults for the most part. So let's see, a lot of this army I actually can't see because there are a lot of night goblins mixed in there. But of course I am super afraid of these two Arachnodoks that are coming at me here. I'm getting our Slayers and our Warriors Dragonfire pass here so they can bunch up and do some fire damage to the Arachnarok. It's not going to do much, but I don't really have much to deal with them. Flame Cannon is going on against these Wolf Rider Archers, or Force Goblin Spider Rider Archers. The thing is, they're really not a densely packed unit, so it doesn't do that much. Because it's a lot about explosion damage here. You can see it's not really doing that much. Luckily, we are getting rid of these Moon Howlers with our Grumbling Guard and then the Peak Gate Guard. I put them in there because they were the closest ones. You can see Cyril's over here engaged with the other Wolf Riders from the other enemy player. And now here comes all of their forces. So I'm sending in the Slayers and the Warriors Dragonfire pass against this Ragnarok. I have another group of Longbeards here to try and hold up the Gobbos and the other Night Goblins in this area. So you can see all these Goblins are going to get hit with that debuff in their unit card there. So they will, in theory, take a lot more damage from the Warriors Dragonfire pass that are nearby. There's a lot of fire here. But unfortunately, the Ragnarok is high armored, so it's not going to take much damage. But again, I don't have really any other choice. Trying to chase off this group of ranged with my miners and other sort of things as the other Ragnarok slams to the front of my dwarf line. Now my flame cannon, I'm trying to shoot into these night goblin groups because they're going to take a lot of damage. You can see a lot of damage done to these night goblins and a lot of disruption as well. So over here I have just one dwarf warrior and a thane holding off these crimson killers and a goblin big boss. And I'm just trying to support them with the flame cannon. I have our rune smith over here trying to keep these forces alive by applying buffs to our army. I'm sending in some reinforcement with the miners with blasting charges. I'm going to be sending in my Peak Gate Guard to try and sunder the armor of this Arachnarok Spider. The Thane and the Dwarf Warriors, the Thane and the Longbeards are holding up pretty well against these crazy Crimson Killers, being supported by the Flame Cannon. Now again, oh man, they're actually hitting my Dwarf Warriors there. I wasn't paying attention to the shots because I was doing so much micromanagement. Meanwhile, over here, another Ragnarok, the actual Queen, comes over here to try and silence my flame cannons. So I'm trying to get them away from the flame cannons and save the cannon crew while we were pulling up some Dwarf Warriors, getting hit by the Doomtower catapults, which I'm still trying to bring down with my gyrocopter out there. And we'll get to Cyril's fight here in a bit. So I'm dealing with two of these Ragnarok Spiders, and I'm like, man, I don't really have much to deal with them. Luckily, I do have these Grumbling Guards, so at least our forces are going to be fresh, and I'm going to be moving them kind of back and forth to try and apply their vigor buff to my entire army. Meanwhile, the PK Guard got in here, so at least the Arachnarok's armor is now sundered. We get hit by a Hammer of Gork. I'm sorry, not a Hammer of Gork, a Foot of Gork. Throwing in the miners because at least they could do some armor-piercing damage. And supported by the runes nearby, their melee attack is going to be increased. And you can see the vigor being dropped on them right now. So you can see that this dude should be fresh. Yes, so they are now still fresh because of the old Grumblers. They are applying some armor-piercing damage to this Arachnarok Spider, who's starting to actually feel the pain over here. But we also have Grimgor. We have all these Night Goblins popping here. I have my Runesmith buried in the middle of this, which I didn't realize at the time. So he's taking a lot of damage from Grimgor right now. Other Longbeards over there. Dwarf Warriors over here. Longbeards are great weapons over here as well. And again, I'm fighting like this. So all I see is just a bunch of flags. And I just kind of occasionally send reinforcements over here. On this side, the Longbeards were dead, I believe, or are dying. So I had to send some more Dwarf Warriors to reinforce them. And I decided to pull everything else out. And I'm going to send our High King over here with the remaining miners and forces to try and bring down this pocket of resistance. Because again, I covered this in my last multiplayer video, but Thorgrim, in case you missed that, let's just cover that really quick. Thorgrim's High King ability. Let me actually pause it so he doesn't move. Where are you? High King. So this was changed in the last patch. So this was disabled or only enabled if the king was basically routing or his leadership was wavering. But they changed it so now his leadership is above 50%. Everything around him gets that bonus right there in a 250 meter area. So I just wanted to make sure that every dwarf that I had over in this other part of the fight was going to get covered by that. So that's why I'm bringing him over there. Also, he has a Great Book of Grudges, which is a smaller area of effect, plus 8 melee attack. I'm trying to buff up my miners over here with the High King as the thought, along with anything that has armor piercing, just to try and break through this armor as quick as possible. Which is why I'm bringing the High King Thorgrim over here. And I'm also trying to withdraw my Runesmith, but he routed and he's routing off over here, but he's going to come back in the fight. Meanwhile, my old grumblers are continuing to make everybody fresh around here. We are still applying Sundering attacks to this Arachnox Spider because of our Beak Gate Guard. And the Sundering attacks is also hitting most of these Night Goblins, so their armor is basically 0. So we're like doing like true damage to the Night Goblins at this point. Here comes the other Arachnox Spider, which routed off my Flame Cannon crew, but they are still alive, actually being dealt with by a Night Goblin Squig Hopper. Again, I'm going to get to this fight here soon. You can see we have our miners with blasted charges just throwing them over here into these Moonhowler Goblin Wolf Riders that were fighting off some of our miners. We're pulling up some more reinforcements away from this area. I'm just kind of letting our Thane and those Dwarf Warriors die, basically, is what I'm doing. As we try to come over here and just deal with these Arachnox with whatever armor piercing we have. The Runesmith has come back, so I'm trying to get him back into the area so he can apply his buffs again to keep our armies safe, or safer. Want to try and keep Thorgrim Grudgebearer out of this fight as much as possible because you see Grimgor is coming over here to chase him. So I'm like, no. Pulling in our Dwarf Warriors and Miners to stop Grimgor because I need my High King alive to try and get as many hits as we can on these Arachnox with all of our little Miners who do a guaranteed 17 armor piercing to these Arachnox each hit. So this is basically my fight right now. My Thane at this point has finally routed, but like, look how long he lasted. It was just a Thane, a group of Longbeards, and then Dwarf Warriors. And just those 3 groups, none of which are armor piercers, managed to bring down the Crimson Killer. Well, they were being supported also by Flame Cannon here and there, but that was actually doing like friendly fire damage too. But those 3 alone managed to keep these Crimson Killers out of the main fight for so long. So that is a sacrifice I'm willing to make. At least I think it's a good sacrifice to exchange those 3 units. The Thane will come back as well, and I did also use a potion to keep in that fight a little bit longer, but we've almost killed those. We did a lot of damage to the Goblin Big Boss. I believe they used a potion, and we did some damage to some 2 Goblin Goblin units as well. So they held that flank a long time. But now the Goblin Big Boss is over here trying to take out Thorgrim Grudgebearer, and I'm trying to keep Thorgrim safe. You can see I put my people back on the Flame Cannon crew, and I'm having them pelt the Crimson Killers. That's not on purpose. I just put them on there, and I think they just attacked whatever was in range. And you know what? Damage is damage, though, man. Damage is damage. You can see it's doing some. Again, they're not armor piercing the Flame Cannons, but it's fine. There goes another foot of Gork on our Dwarf Warriors. Our Slayers are still alive in here somewhere. Somewhere in here. I think that's them right there. There's like 1 or 2 units left, so they continually apply the flaming debuff, and we still have the Warriors Dragonfire passing here as well. So there's Grimgor, this Arachnox Spider, the other one routed off. Yeah, there it is over there. The Orc Shaman is now coming in. I'm going to be putting one of our Dwarf Warriors or Longbeards against the Orc Shaman to try and kill him. We're keeping the Runesmith out of the battle just to apply debuffs. We have this group of, I think, Goblin or Dwarf Warriors. Yeah, Dwarf Warriors trying to hold off the Crimson Killers. The Flame Cannon is still firing. I must have given it an attack order at this point because it's moving. So I'm having it try to rout off these Crimson Killers. This Arachnox Spider tries to get to our Runesmith to finish killing him, and I think it's actually going to work here in just a moment. Trying to pull him out of here. Maybe the Goblin Big Boss finishes him, but I know our Runesmith dies. I'm just trying to keep our heroes out of this fight as much as possible. Assigning some of our units to attack this Orc Shaman and trying to follow this Arachnox Spider to try and finish it off. More Flame Cannon shots going down. Getting intercepted by trees, apparently. Finally routing off the Crimson Killers. My gyrocopter's still back there dealing with the Doomtower catapult crews. Now they are in melee because they are long out of ammunition. And we're just trying to take care of the heroes at this point. Grimgor is almost dead. The Orc Shaman is currently routing and broken. We still have a Thane who's now coming back up from routing. Our Runesmith is unfortunately dead, but Thorgrim Grudgebearer is still alive, and he is again buffing everybody. My old Grumblers are still alive, so they are continually making everybody fresh. I mean, look, this battle has lasted like 10 minutes, right? And my army, what is left of it, is still fresh. I can't stress enough how good the Grumbling Guard is. They're so good. Because I covered the Vigor stuff in the, I think it was the Dwarf overview of this DLC and how important Vigor can be. And especially since you have the Grumbling Guards now, that renowned Longbeard unit. Man, I think they're just one of the best ones in the game. They may not be the flashiest, but I think they're one of the best. And it's just going to be kind of like a long drawn out fight, but we are eventually going to kill a Grimgor Ironhide. I believe we kill him. Either that or shatter him. Takes a lot to kill him. We still have that big boss over here. The Ragnarok comes back from routing once again, getting into our forces, so we're going to try and kill it once and for all. Here comes our Thane to try and kill Grimgor. There goes another Vigor buff from our old Grumblers on our entire army to keep them fresh. Once again, they are trying to kill our leadership, so they put in the Ragnarok fighter into Thorgrim Grudgebearer. But I'm like, you know what? You're almost dead, so I'm just going to take this fight. So we throw him in there. I believe I threw some our Peak Gate Guard. They're still alive. Yep, they're in there. And we're just trying to kill this damn Arachnarok Queen. And we have now finished off Grimgor, so that means most of the forces over here are going to be shattered. Or at least routing. I'm having our Gyrocopter now routing units that are coming back. So we're just trying to reroute them with little charges here and there. And let's actually pause it here, because this fight was definitely two separate fights. So I'm actually going to cover the other fights right now from the beginning. So this is going to be kind of a long video, but it looks like for the most part, I have finally wrapped up my fight. Most of my army is battered and bruised, but they are fresh at the very least. They are all fresh. I still have a Slayer too. I kind of want to, where are you? Where is the Slayer? Is that I think that's you. No, that's Warriors Dragonfire Pass. Well, my Slayer, wait. Here we go. Yes, literally one. I have one single Slayer left after that entire battle, but that is enough to apply the debuff of Flame Resistance. Yep, one single model. The Slayer that could. Anyway, let's watch the battle from Cyril's perspective, and then the end of it. Here we can see Cyril has moved up his forces to try and receive the other Greenskin player. They have the 3 Ironbreakers back there. This is when we got charged with the Goblobber, and he's trying to repel that force with his Rangers. Ironbreakers holding the front. We have Bolt Throwers up here who are now currently being assaulted by the remaining Wolf Rider Archers, and here come these Squig Hoppers. And they're going to get right into these Bolt Throwers. You can see all the Ironbreakers throwing their blasting charges, and that does do some decent damage to Squig Hoppers. They're not heavily armored at all. In fact, I think they're lower armored than the Squig herd is. You can hear the bolt throws going off. Some delayed blast there from the satchel charges. The Hammer of Gork is coming in, attacking, I believe, these Ironbreakers. More armor-piercing rounds coming in from the Mograv's Mangy Marauders. Although they're in range of the Ironbreakers' satchel charges, they're not as densely packed of a formation as infantry, so the satchel charges won't do as much, but it still does damage. It's not bad. So yeah, just some more skirmishing going on here in the beginning as my battle is well underway, and I'm currently cursing the day that Arachnarok spiders were created, and for me not bringing like armor-piercing rangers at the very least. This is a tense battle. I was very focused and worried. I will say that for at least my part of the battle here in the beginning. 2 Ragnaroks is hard to deal with, man. When you don't bring the tools to deal with them. When you're picking your dwarf army and you just totally forget a Ragnarok sort of thing, you're like, oh, I'm just not going to bring anything to deal with one of their best units in the game. But we were able to push them back. So I believe this squig herd is going on a very long journey. I think they eventually go all the way around my battle, and I think they're going to hit Surreal in the back. So try to keep an eye on them, but I think that's what happens with those. These Morgrove's Mangy Marauders still getting into the bolt throwers over here. This is probably a good call, trying to use the skirmishers to shut down the bolt throwers before you advance your main army that's going to be kind of susceptible to their fire. Looks like they may be shattered. There we go. Yep. Those Wolf Riders are now shattered, though. Now, the bolt throwers are pretty accurate. Pretty good against Cav because their accuracy, and they do fire every 10 seconds, as opposed to like a cannon's 20 seconds or 19. Over here we have the renowned Orc Boarboy Biggins coming around to try and get a flank on Surreal's forces. Now they do have a penalty in the forest, so if they get caught here, that's going to be really bad for them. You can see the Slayers moving up to try and engage, as the rest of the Greenskin army comes down with all of these Black Orcs. You can see Surreal is now targeting the Queen Spider with the bolt throwers. Pretty good. Good call. And they do have a very fast firing rate. You can see, if you can keep constant fire on the spider, you can actually continually stun. Like, they can't move. When they're in this little stun animation, it breaks their movement. Ironbreaker's moving ahead to try and block off these Black Orcs. Spiderling is being cast from the Ragnarok Queen, trying to disrupt the bolt throwers. And the Ironbreaker's now going to get into combat against this Black Orc army. Supported by the Rusty Arrows and other Night Goblin Archer units. Now, the Sundering does apply to the Black Orcs as well if they get hit by it. So let's just double check, though. No, I didn't mean to pause me to slow down. So that is the Poison debuff being applied by a Night Goblin Archer, because that's also applied to units with the that get hit by the stray arrows. Where's the arrows firing at? What unit are they firing at? So yeah, you can definitely poison and stun. There you go. Are they being sundered now? Yeah. So it's kind of interesting using the Night Goblin poison ranged and the Rusty Arrows, who are now actually being caught by the Dwarf Warriors, which is good catch there. Let's give you an above view of what's going on here. The Ragnarok Queen is taking a lot of damage. She's almost about to rout under the fire of these Quarrelers. There you go. There come the Squig Hoppers in the back of Surreal's army. I remember he was very surprised with this, as was I, because I was focused over here. So all these Squig Hoppers just get right into these Rangers, and they're just going to cause a lot of problems. Look how fast this health is dropping on these Ranger squads. They're not heavily armored. So Black Orcs got past the front line. The Rangers are starting to rout due to all those Squig Hoppers just chewing them to pieces. And the Ironbreakers, even though they're very hardy, these are the Crimson Killers and just a bunch of Black Orcs. So they are geared for killing any armored dwarf. So the Ironbreakers are losing the front line here. We have King Lung up in the front trying to keep the Ironbreakers in line, along with Belagar Ironhammer, who's taking some damage against his Black Orcs. Right there, I believe, was Skarsnik's special ability, where he lobs like a mortar shot and it goes into different shrapnel pieces. This is so much armor piercing for a dwarf player to take. Whoa, King Lung! Just got sent flying. And now let's check on those Rangers. I believe they are mostly all routed off. Yeah, they are routing and running into the forest. But at this point, the Night Goblin Squig Hoppers are also routed. I threw my Goblobber into the fight there. Threw some shots at them. The Dwarf Warriors back here managed to help rout them off, along with the just melee power of the Rangers. But you can see they did their damage. Like, they almost murdered all four of those Ranger squads. Meanwhile, up in the front, Skarsnik is finally getting to the battle. The Black Orcs' main battle line has taken a beating. They had a heavy price getting through those Ironbreakers, but they are getting through them pretty quickly. I think there's only a few left. Actually, those are Dwarf Warriors. There's a few of the Nord Grimlings Ironbreakers left, and I think these are Dwarf Warriors. Yeah, these Dwarf Warriors still fighting against the Rusty Arrows over there in the back. King Lun is still up around here, right there. Belagar is still holding the line against Skarsnik and some Black Orcs of his allies there. Meanwhile, some more Goblin Archers that were originally routed, I believe, are now back into the fight, as the Gyro Bombers, who have used most of their bombs at this point, are now just providing cover fire from the sky. More Black Orcs into some Dwarf Warriors and I believe Rangers? No, Dwarf Warriors of Dragon Pass. Squid Coppers coming back from routing, getting back into the Rangers, and I believe they're also getting into my Goblobber at this point, or they will be. I think this group does get into my Goblobber soon. As you can see, it is providing support fire for Cyril's army up here. Gyro Bomber almost out of ammunition, which is unfortunate, but it does a lot of armor piercing, so I'm sure it's done a lot of hit point damage to Black Orcs by now. But we're still in the fight. Crimson Killer still rocking it, destroying these Nordgrimling's Iron Breakers. The Ranger Squad is trying to regroup, and I guess it looks like they actually charged these Nikon Squid Coppers. Those Iron Breakers? Who was? Oh, here we go. We have some Iron Breakers who are on the edge of routing, throwing in some more salvage charges to support the Rangers over here. Main battle line. I mean, it's looking pretty grim for everybody at this point. Just look at these health bars and like routing people. It's a brutal fight up here. We still have some Night Goblin Archers nearby to support the enemy Greenskin player. King Lund Ironhammer is now, I believe, almost on his own. I think Belagar is about to rout or die. Actually, I think that was Belagar. Oh my god! I think Belagar just got eaten. Holy shit. Holy shit. That was Belagar being eaten by Gobla. Holy shit. Well, that happened. But anyway, King Lun is still holding the front line, even though his ancestor, or I should say his descendant, just got eaten by Gobla right in front of him. Holy shit. Belagar, you poor fool. Anyway, we have some pockets of resistance here and there. The enemy lord, there you go, Grimgore just died. These warriors of Dragonfire Pass are actually turning back these Black Orcs, along with the help of the Slayers. The bonus versus infantry that the warriors of Dragonfire Pass does help. Definitely does help. They are a very strong Dwarf Warrior group. They're a really good Dwarf Warrior group. And now they gotta deal with some Squid Hoppers, who just refuse to die. And I think this Squid Hopper group is actually, are they unbreakable? No, they're not. They're not unbreakable. They're just immune to psychology. Slayer should do pretty okay in this situation. Can't believe Belagar got eaten by Gobla. Oh my god. There's Skarsnik anyway, he's pulled out of the fight. Still some warriors, Dragonfire Pass over here, reinforcing King Lund Ironhammer and these group of Dwarf warriors. More Black Orcs coming in from routing. The Night Goblin is still alive. And I believe it's at this point, yeah, so now I am getting away from my fight, and I'm marching my army through the forest to try and assist Cyril, but they are just dwarves and they're kind of slow. So they're on their way to assist, but we are still quite a ways out. You can see Cyril still has a couple ranger groups out there. Still has King Lund and the warriors of Dragonfire Pass over here. And Squid Hoppers coming in. Again, these Squid Hoppers have been routed so many times, but they just keep coming back. I think they're the ones who may have finished off the Dragons of Warrior, or Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. Yeah, they are now broken and running for their lives. But King Lund is still alive. Still alive. I think that's really all Cyril has at this point. There goes the last of the Warriors of Dragonfire Pass. Yeah, so it's just King Lund. I guess there are some Slayers still fighting with him too. But against all these Black Orcs, these Night Goblins over here, and the Ragnarok Queen came back from routing as well. My Rangers get into position, starting to put some fire down into the Night Goblin Archers, and I'm going to try and rout them with our Gyrocopters. Again, they have to go into melee at this point, because they're out of ammunition. So that charge is going to break the Goblin Night Fanatics, Night Goblin Fanatics, whatever. These things. We're talking so much. So luckily, all of these units have taken so many losses that just charging our Gyrocopters into them is actually going to be breaking them. Right now, I'm moving my Rangers into position to try and shoot at this group of Night Goblin Archers. King Lun still holding against Skarsnik and all these Black Orcs. And he does have fear and terror, so he's also making them rout over and over again. Here comes Surreal's remaining Gyro Bomber. I think that's his last one. Does he have another one still? I think that's his last one. So that's getting into the melee as well with our Gyrocopters. You want to know how King Lun's doing? He's still alive. Still doing okay. Black Orcs are lining up to try and receive my charge, but we still have the High King, we still have a Thane, we still have a single Slayer of Dragonback Slayer. That's a true VIP right there. My entire army is still fresh because of the old Grumblers, so we are going to receive this charge, and we're going to countercharge. Meanwhile, Surreal's King Lun Ironhammer is still holding on over there. I think he's actually routing Skarsnik at this point. And when Skarsnik actually just died. Skarsnik died to the High King. Or it's a King Lung, whatever the hell his name is. Wow. But that's okay because Gobla ate Belagar Ironhammer. Oh my god. I think I may have to just watch that part again. But for right now, good game to our opponents. That was very, very close. Now, I ran this build specifically to try and test something I found out a little while ago and I talked about earlier was how the High King ability was changed so that it's always active in a 250 meter radius unless he is wavering. So I thought that coupled with a bunch of just basic Dwarf Warriors and especially the Miners who have guaranteed armor piercing damage of 17 could be pretty brutal. Now, a lot of my Miners and Dwarf Warriors were fighting against Ragnarok Spiders, so maybe the High King buff helped. It's kind of hard to tell, but in any case, again, good games to our opponents, and to Surreal, that was really, really close. That was a fun one, and kind of a long one, so it was really cool. Alright, so we got some decent kills from our heroes here. I try and keep Thorgrim out of the fight for as long as possible. The Miners got some decent amount of kills. Dwarf Warriors got some decent amount of kills. The Renowned Miners, I'm not even sure who they fought by the end. Like, I was bouncing Miners all over the place, trying to deal with infantry and then both of those Ragnarok Spiders. It was just... those spiders, man. All I had was infantry to deal with them, so we were going to have so many losses. Longbeards did really well. This, was, I believe, was the Longbeard that was holding with the Thane, who was dealing with the Goblins and the Crimson Killers. They got so many kills, it's insane. Warriors Dragonfire passed 100 kills in this unit when teamed up with the Dragonback Slayers, so they weren't only fighting the Ragnarok, like that was their main target, but they were also at the same time applying debuffs to the Night Goblins and then just murdering them, because again they have the bonus versus infantry, and since this Dragonback Slayers there were applying a minus 25% flame debuff, that means they were doing that much more damage to those Night Goblins. And then when you threw in the Peak Gate Guard, those Night Goblins basically had 0 armor, were weak to flame by 25% because of the Dragonback Slayers, and bonus versus infantry, like, so I think that's why they got so many kills there. Gyrocopter, 137 kills. Before this patch, I had never brought Gyrocopters. Maybe the ones with Brimstone Guns sometimes, but I think these are now invaluable when fighting against the Greenskins just because of how good Goblin armies can be, or at least some Goblin units, and how sneaky they can be. I would definitely recommend bringing the 700 cost Gyrocopter, I think almost every time, just as a scout, so you know exactly where their nasty Skulkers are, although there weren't any brought in this fight, which is really odd. They should have brought some nasty Skulkers, but anyway, you know, find out where their Night Goblins are hiding, find out where their, I don't know, the Forest Goblin Spider Riders, you know, it's really invaluable, and it got 137 kills, which is insane. That's just insane. Goblobber got 53 kills. It wasn't even active until towards the end of the fight when it was fighting into the Squig Riders there at the very end. And then the Flame Cannon got 89 kills. It managed to fire most of its shots. Only 89 kills is not amazing for paying 1200 for that, but I didn't really team it up with its ideal combination. I wanted to throw the Dragonback Slayers, these warriors, and the Flame Cannon all attacking like the same unit, because then the Flame Cannons will be also doing more damage to those units that were hit by the Dragonback Slayers, but the way that the battle played out, I kind of had to split their attention. Anyway, for Surreal here, the King Lun Ironhammer MVP, 44 kills, Belagar getting eaten live. I gotta check that again to make sure that actually happened. Dwarf Warriors did really well. His Dragonfire Warriors were fighting against Black Orcs for the most part, so they didn't get to do as much. These Slayers, though, 130 kills, boom, really good. The Iron Breakers, just, they held the line for as long as they could, but against the massive line of Black Orcs and Crimson Killers, they didn't have much of a chance. They can just hold, that's basically it. The Rangers did okay, but it was a very nice move, basically shutting them down with those Quick Hoppers. The Bolt Throwers, kind of didn't get to do too much. Gyrocopters, though, they did some work. They actually got some kills. Then here for your unconscious bruh. 91 kills in Grim Gore, pretty good. Orc Shaman, pretty good. Goblin Big Boss, also pretty good. These goblins did some work. Night Goblins, for the most part, they did okay. The 8 Peak Loonies did pretty okay, I think. Crimson Killers getting 149 kills against Longbeards and Dwarf Warriors is pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. But, to be expected, they're pretty solid unit. The Moon Howlers, I don't think really got to do too much work. The leadership of the Dwarves is just really high. So their whole like fear effect doesn't do as much against dwarves, but I always love seeing Goblin Wolf Riders. These Squeak Hoppers did okay. Arachnorocks, man. This is what happens when you don't have like dwarf rangers with great weapons to throw axes at them or something, some kind of ranged component to shut these things down. They were just going to rack up the kills, and it shows. And then also the Doomtower catapults, except for this one. Probably is the one that I was shooting with the gyrocopter in the very beginning. But look, over 100 kills on each of these is really good. And then for Sergei SP? Sergei? I'm not sure. Scarzing 28 kills plus eating Belagar. Then we got so many kills on the Black Orcs. 181 on the Crimson Killers. Jesus. The Rusty Arrows did really well. They were fighting in melee through most of that against Dwarf Warriors and murdering those poor Dwarf Warriors. These Night Goblin Squig Hoppers, man. God, they massacred Surreal's Rangers. That was a really good move on our enemy's part. These guys got destroyed by Slayers. I don't think I showed that, but they got murdered. The Wolf Rider Archers didn't really get to do too much in this matchup. The Arachnoid Queen didn't do as well against Surreal's forces. And then the Hammer of Gork got 84 kills, which is pretty good. So you know what, let's end this off by watching Belagar getting eaten. I gotta find that again. And see how this plays out. Oh, the jump kick. Impressive since you're wearing so much armor. Oh, I thought that was it. There it is! There it is! I had to make sure. Oh, man. Man, Belagar, you poor fool. Anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. That's all I wanted to see. Take care.